It's, I mean, Jack has it worse. I mean, he's nobody. Clyde at least has his parents. They have some sort of job during the Depression. He has his brother who loves him.
His brother, he has.
Would do anything for him. A
He
pretty
finds
girlfriend.
Bonnie.
Yeah.
I mean, he does have these great things, and yet still there's a line in the beginning where Bonnie says, or he says, or she asks where he's from, and he says West Dallas, and she said, and he said, well, but not for much longer.
Right.
And she says, well, I never knew anybody that moved out of West Dallas, because that's when you got there, you were done. Like, that's the lowest of the low. Nobody came out of that. Nobody rose out of that muck. They kind of went there, and that was it. And
he says you have now.
Well, yeah, and so that's sort of where they connected, because she wanted to get out too, and he and the only way he knew to do that was to get money, and the only way to get money
was to take it. Well, I mean, you said it was a little hard to identify with Jack. You didn't see yourself as jumping up and being a leader of guys in a strike. I'm sure it was, even harder to identify with Clyde. I'm sure.
In that sense, no, it was easier to identify with Clyde, because as a kid, I grew up pretty poor, not ragged or anything. You know, we had, and as I got older, we got a little bit more money. But I lived in apartments, and I lived in low income housing for a while, and what it did to me was made me more angry and made me want to find my own path and to really strive to take myself out of that. And I found that, and it was more about me. It was more, I got to do this on my own, because nobody's going to help me. With Jack's got this huge group of people that look up to him and follow him everywhere. I didn't have anything like that, and Clyde doesn't have that either. Mm-hmm. Clyde has to do it himself. He enlists his brother, but his brother's kind of stupid. He's not stupid, but he's not the brains. You know, it's really Clyde's thing, and so in that respect, where he has to really take himself out of this world, I really connect with that a lot more than leading an army and rebelling against. I mean, I certainly take a stand against certain things that I believe in, but I've always been a little bit more of a watcher than a true leader.
Well, and obviously the show says, how did this guy who was, a petty thief from when he was young, but he was not cold-hearted or cruel, and the show makes a big point of the fact that he's brutalized in prison, and this is one explanation for how he becomes a killer. But even after that, he's still kind of Gene Autry. He never shoots in the show until he's shot at.
I truly don't think that he had that he was cold-blooded or had this cold heart of stone. I think he knew what he had to do in order to survive. And people often think of Clyde as just dastardly, really bad egg. And he was just in the wrong situation, and he got himself in too deep, and the only way he knew to get out was to stay alive. And he would, often what they would do was they would take, they would hold up somewhere, or they would get caught by the cops, right? But they always had bigger guns than the cops.
Yeah, and faster cars.
They'd hold up the cops. The cops be like, okay, sorry. and instead of just getting in the car and driving away and the cops chasing them, they'd take the cops in their car with them, drive them 20 minutes down the road, drop them off the side of the street, and say, see you later. Can't catch me now, can you? And Bonnie would talk them up in the car, and it was more of an adventure, especially towards the beginning for them.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, except for when he killed the guy in prison that abused him, there was never any other premeditated murder. The closest that he came was he really truly hated the sheriff, because the sheriff was just ravaging his family and
harassing them
and harassing, and he really got to him. But he didn't, in the show we kill the sheriff, but in reality it never actually really happened. Sheriff lived for quite some time. But like I said, anytime he killed the 13 some odd people that they killed, it was really in self-defense, or because they got shot at first, or if he didn't shoot them, he was going to be taken.
Right. And
he wasn't about to be taken.
Now this is a stretch, but I mean, I know you play video games.
Sure.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
Got my Xbox up there.
Where are you on Skyrim? What level?
Played Skyrim,
come on,
yet.
It's the greatest video game of all time.
When do I have time to play Skyrim? I've never played the Elder Scrolls, but people have said that's great. I am playing Arkham City right now.
Oh, that's a really good game too.
I loved Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite games. I got Arkham City.
And Thanksgiving, my friend's son was playing Arkham City nonstop.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a tough game, and I love like Modern Warfare 3 and.
Mm-hmm. And I know
like
it's a stretch, but in those games, they're very intense, they're very immersive, and there's like, oh my god, somebody shoots at you from behind, you shoot, it's you or them, and you get upset when you're killed, and you don't get, and you relief, and you feel bad when you kill somebody who's innocent, but oh well. But is there when you're Clyde, and somebody shoots at you, and you turn and you shoot them, and you're like, it was him or me, I mean, that emotion you go through all the time in a video game in a weird little way. It's as close as you've been in real life, probably.
Yeah, except in a video game you can pause it, or you can restart it, or you can turn it off and go about your real life. And
same in the theater. The guy actually gets up after the scene.
Well, certainly he does.
But how do you go to that darker place where it's actually real?
Well, you have to imagine what it would be like, first to have somebody holding a gun on you, and two, the power that you feel when you have something that could kill someone in your hands. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, this is kind of dark, but to kill someone is not hard. I mean, there's knives everywhere. There's things that people can die from easily if you have the motive to do so. And that, if you think about that, and you think about how like fragile life is, and the fact that you could hold someone's life right there in your hand at that moment, it gives you power. And then when they come at you, you understand that power because they have it as well. And so it's really this battle of I mean, it's like a video game. It's like, I gotta kill him before he kills me so I can get more points in him. Mm-hmm. But it's, 3 times bigger. It's And so it's more like trying to understand what it would be like to have that power in your hands, and what it would be like to have that taken away. Because that's one other thing that drives Clyde, is that he is always on the top. He always gets away. Mm-hmm. He's the one in all the headlines and all this stuff, and he's the one in the best suits. And granted, they're sleeping in the woods half the time, but nobody knows that. They are portrayed as this glamorous, beautiful, maybe not beautiful, but like beautiful life. Mm-hmm. They have, control of their own destiny.
Which almost nobody had at the time.
Nah, not at all. I mean, they would narrowly, they weren't even very good criminals. Mm-hmm. They would narrowly escape. And the only reason they ever got away is because Clyde was such a good driver. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were caught so many times, and in the show, I 1, 2, 3, to kill 3 people on stage.
The prisoner and
the prisoner, which is more teller. Of the animal.
Yeah.
And the bank teller, the guard who comes in and there's a standoff, and I plan on just walking out, and he's coming at me, and like. And I see his hand shaking. I'm like, that can't be good. This is not gonna end out right. And so that's his first real kill. His unpremeditated. And there's a certain amount of regret you feel, and there's a line that you cross that you can't go back any further. You can't go back after that. I mean, and that's sort of his line. Is right at that moment.
That's it.
I mean, he got away with the murder in prison. Nobody knew it was him. I mean, he escaped prison, yeah, sure. But you kill an officer of the law, people are... there's never any way that you're ever going to have a normal life again. Mm-hmm. And then by the time he's gotten to the bank teller, he's killed a couple more people, but only out of self-defense. He wasn't about to shoot the guy. I mean, he's gonna threaten them. He's gonna get really angry, but he's gonna pull it in because he's still human. And it wasn't until he got shot in the shoulder, he's like, nuh-uh. He's like, it's kill or be killed.